Tonight on the all-night drive-in picture show.
Kelvin, I did it. Look at this puppy. 50,000 big ones. You know what this means? No summer school.
Wait a minute. You gave me your word.
That was the old word. My new one is money.
A man of your integrity would let a mere 50 grand weaken his commitment to education? I have seen lesser men win millions in the lottery, go right back to bussing tables.
They're friggin' morons! Let me out of here! Let me out of here!
And now, here are your projectionists. Like Siskel and Ebert with a past, Ryan Mason and Charles Wood.
Welcome to the all-night drive-in picture show. I'm Boo Berry, that's Count Chocula.
Hello.
Let's open the crypt and get to the movies.
Attention patrons. The movies discussed on this podcast will be spoiled from start to finish. If you wish to experience these cinematic gems visually, please do so before continuing with this episode. We will be right here when you return. Thank you, and have a pleasant evening.
And now, please enjoy our feature presentation.
All this gym teacher wanted to do was go to Hawaii with his girlfriend on his summer break. Instead, he gets stuck teaching remedial English to a group of lazy misfits. He ain't no English teacher. This is summer school.
Oh, Mr. Shoup, congratulations. You've been chosen to teach summer school. No, I'm not a real teacher. That's all right. These aren't real students. They're unmotivated, irresponsible, not too bright. They'll relate to you.
You in this class too?
I'm teaching them.
No way!
Right off the bat, you show them who's in charge. Please take your seats.
Where should we take him?
Who is in charge?
I recommend this time, I pass.
You're gonna do well, Jerome. I can feel it.
I've seen some of your students. Very scary.
There's a very valid reason for summer vacation. The human brain needs rest. I know you guys aren't exactly fired up about English. We're stuck here. We're trapped like rats.
Paramount Pictures presents a new film by Carl Reiner, Summer School.
I love this film. It had passion and a plucky spirit. Dave, I agree with you. Thumbs up from me. Same here. To sum it up, I'm Chainsaw. I'm Dave. We'll see you at the movies.
We open outside of Oceanfront High School. We get a montage of students cleaning out their lockers, turning in their books, signing yearbooks, etc., etc. Some receive notices that they need to attend a meeting with the vice principal. Then we meet Freddie Shoup, played by Mark Harmon, type of gym teacher that brings his dog Wondermutt to school. He's not much on work or given grades. The selected students attend their meeting with Vice Principal Gills, played by Robin Thomas, who informs them that they all failed their English proficiency exam and that they'll have to retake the exam and a remedial English course in summer school. The class would normally be conducted by English teacher Mr. Dorian, played by the director and comedy legend Carl Reiner, but he just won 50 grand on a scratch-off ticket and is taking the summer off. Gills is responsible for summer school, so he scrambles for a replacement.
Reiner's hysterical in the scene where he goes to tell Gills that he's out of there. What's the line is like he says something about, like, I thought your word was integrity or whatever. He's like, that was the old word. The new word is money.
And then Gills says, there are a lot of, what does he say? There are a lot of people who would win millions in the lottery and go right back to bussing tables. And Reiner says, they're friggin' morons.
He does the little leprechaun hop and kick on the way out. Oh my God. That's funny.
Shoup and his girlfriend Kim, played by Amy Stotch, are loading up their luggage into his trunk for the airport. They have a Hawaiian vacation planned, but unfortunately, sharks patrol these waters.
Mr. Shoup! Oh, Mr. Shoup! Congratulations. You've been chosen to teach summer school.
Ah, shoot. If only I'd known sooner. We're going to Hawaii.
May I remind you, Mr. Shoup, you're up for tenure. You want a job next year?
Oh, come on, Mr. Gills. Look, we got liaison and everything.
You'll be teaching remedial English.
Remedial English? Look, I ain't no English teacher. See? Double negative. No, I hand out basketballs, check for jock straps. I'm like very challenged. No, I'm not a real teacher.
That's all right. These aren't real students. They're unmotivated, irresponsible, not too bright. They'll relate to you.
I appreciate that. No, look, the only reason I got into this whole teaching gig in the first place is to get my summers off. No, I'm afraid my answer has to be no. No, thank you?
Bottom line, Mr. Shoup, you need my recommendation for tenure.
This is blackmail.
We call it school spirit.
Shoup breaks the bad news to Kim.
Kim! Have you ever seen The Wizard of Oz?
Oh, I love that movie.
Yeah, me too. And my favorite part is when Dorothy, she clicks her heels together 3 times and she says, "There's no place like home. There is no place like home."
Oh, shoot, I understand.
You do? You're not disappointed?
No. I'll just go by myself.
What, alone?
I'll make friends.
Oh, look, Kim, if you love me, I mean, even if you just like me a lot, you won't do this.
Shoup, if I didn't like you, I wouldn't ask you to drive me to the airport now, would I?
Guess not.
On his way to the classroom for orientation, Gills tells him to show them who's in charge. Shoup asks who that is. I gotta say, I love Mark Harmon in this role, and I'm really surprised that he didn't get more work after this. Like, his movie career didn't take off, let's put it that way. He ended up on NCIS for like 87 seasons, and, I'm sure he's got more money than he can count at this point. But after this, he's so charming and so handsome and just funny in this. I'm really surprised it didn't lead to more like romantic comedies and that sort of thing.
Yeah, it seems like after a while, it was going to be kind of like him or Costner.
Yeah.
Because they're kind of hitting, because this is what, 87, Bull Durham's 87.
Right.
They're kind of hitting at the same time. I don't remember what Harmon's career was pre-Summer School.
St. Elsewhere.
Okay, yeah. So he had a hit.
Yeah.
So he was ahead of Costner in that respect. But looking back now, with all of that kind of burnt off, he feels like a featherweight Costner here.
Right.
And, they would try to put him into movies like The Presidio with Sean Connery, and that to me felt like kind of a No Way Out type of film.
Right.
Harmon, I think, is funny in this movie, and I think he is charming. I think there are times when he's really broad. And I think part of that is him, and part of it is maybe Carl Reiner's sensibility.
Right. But I mean, Kirstie Alley, she did really well after this.
I feel like she's miscast in this movie.
Really?
Because Kirstie Alley, to me, is not this character. She's just not this person. There's an undercurrent of anger in her, I think, and sarcasm and biting wit that kind of flashes a little bit here and there in this movie.
Yeah.
But that's not this part. Even then, I didn't really look at Kirstie Alley as being kind of like this rock in a movie.
Yeah.
Even though she played Saavik in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, which I thought she played that brilliantly, Saavik was still a conflicting character and still kind of had a biting wit, even though she was logical. I remember Saavik, and then her turn as Jackie Rogers in Runaway, that Tom Selleck, Gene Simmons movie that I saw again like a few months ago. That movie was really bad, but she was excellent in it. She was kind of like this frantic woman caught in the middle of all this stuff that was going on in that movie. And I don't know, I guess I could just be like missing something here. I kind of saw their chemistry in the scene later on where he gives up. You see it a little bit there, but otherwise I didn't quite get it. But that could just be me,
I thought they were better than you did as far as the chemistry was concerned. I thought the chase was really fun between the two. Harmon just constantly asking her to go out with him and her turning him down, and some of the comedy that played out in that. But then again, that was mostly Harmon's lines too.
Yeah, I guess I wish that had turned a little bit more like a watch. Rather than just being kind of like she says no to him, she says no to him, she says no to him, then she says yes. I didn't really see the breaking down as it went along.
Right.
Because like they would talk about something and they would start to get at something about his character, and then he would ask her out and she would say no.
Yeah.
It was like, let's try something a little different. Let's kind of move the needle here.
Right.
So I don't know. I just didn't feel like that happened, but I found that I don't respond to this movie the same way that a lot of people do. I don't have any nostalgia for this movie at all. Saw it on video when it came out, and I just don't. I just,
Son of a bitch.
Yeah, well,
That's all right.
Get a new podcasting partner. What can I tell you?
Maybe I should see what Lane's up to these days.
Yeah. You probably should. Kick me to the curb. Fire me. Save yourself some money.
We'll talk after the show. Shoop writes his name on the chalkboard and turns the 2 O's in his name into eyes and draws a stick figure underneath it. The teacher next door, Robin Bishop, played by Kirstie Alley, admires his artwork.
Very cute.
Thanks. So are you. Oh, you meant, I'm so embarrassed. But you are cute.
I'm all right. I'm Robin Bishop. I teach American history next door.
Hi, Freddie Shoop, remedial English right here. Everybody just calls me Shoop.
Okay. Shoop. Why am I here? Oh, thumbtacks. Could I borrow some?
Sure. I was just gonna get my summer bulletin board going here. Jackpot. Whole box. Here you go, my treat.
Well, what about your bulletin board?
Oh yeah, give me one.
Remedial English, huh? I got it easy. I have honor students. They're here voluntarily. Can you believe it?
No.
I've seen some of your students. Very scary. You must be a good teacher.
Shucks, Robin. I don't know. Heck, inside every so-called bad kid is a good kid just waiting for someone to reach on down through the sleaze and the slime, pick him up and hose him off. I mean, who knows? If we fail with even one shot, we might be losing the next Ted Koppel. We're the unsung heroes. We're doing God's work, and I notice you're not wearing a wedding ring.
Yeah, my mother noticed that too.
So you're single? In love? Involved? What's the story here?
The story is that I've been seeing someone, but we just started dating, so you do what you think's right.
Okay.
I better get going.
Well, here, I'll walk you. So you're free to see other people then, huh?
Are you asking me out?
Well, if I was, would you say yes?
Am I?
Well, I might be asking you out. You like Chinese?
I hate it.
Me too. I can't stand it. Want to go out sometime and not eat Chinese?
I might. Why don't we talk about that after school?
I'm in love again.
Shoop arrives and the students are a little too happy to see him. Chainsaw and Dave, who we'll talk about here in just a moment, immediately steal his car keys and the game begins. He takes roll with the mouthful of apple as we meet the students. The students are Chainsaw, played by Dean Cameron, and Dave, played by Gary Riley, who steal every scene that they're in this movie. They love Texas Chainsaw Massacre and horror special effects. And then we have Kevin Winchester, played by Patrick Labyorteaux, take your pick, who's a dumb football jock with a heart of gold. We've got Jerome Watkins, played by Dwayne Davis, who's an intimidating jock who does what he wants. Pam House, played by Courtney Thorne-Smith, a philosophical surfer with a problem with concentration. Denise Green, played by Kelly Jo Minter, who's a Weisenheimer who can't drive. Larry Casamayas, played by Ken Olent, constantly sleeping male model type. We've got Rhonda Altabello, played by Shawnee Smith from the Saw movies, who's the pregnant sweetheart. And Alan Ekian, played by Richard Stephen Horvitz, a high-voiced nerd who's an academic black sheep of his family. Hey, where are Shoop's car keys after all?
You're somewhere in this room. Right now, you're very cold. You're really cold.
I want those keys.
Oh, God, you're freezing.
Okay. Okay, I'm a fun guy. I'll play along.
Getting warmer?
You are getting hot, man.
Oh, I see smoke.
You are on fire!
Oh, you're walking on the sun. Ouch! Oh, wait. My mistake. I forgot where I put him. You're ice cold, dude.
Come on, enough of this shit.
Ooh, now does that mean we can swear in class?
Shit, yes.
Hey, watch your fucking language.
Watch your language, fart face.
Hey, reckless mind.
Where are my friggin' car keys?
You're the dick brain that knows.
If I knew anything, would I be in this butthole class?
Suck my loggerhead.
Damn it!
Jism head.
Jism head? Yeah, good one.
One of my all-time faves.
Psychology. You give a child a license to swear, they lose all interest in it.
I certainly did.
I think you're full of bull.
It's okay. You can say bullshit in here.
I'm grateful. Mr. Shoup, I'm sure you're aware that I'm teaching next door, and this swearing bee is getting a little loud. Do you think you could all concentrate on some obscene gestures for a while? Yes. Yes, that's the idea.
So it's a good cast, man.
Yeah, really good cast.
We got a little trial run here for Ski School with Dean Cameron and Patrick
L.
Yeah. Patrick Cajun last name.
Yeah.
I thought the cast was really great here. I think the thing that kind of got to me as we went along in the movie is that I wanted to see, we get to see a few interpersonal relationship stuff between them.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt like I wanted a little bit more, you know, kind of like more the delineation between the jocks and the nerds and where does Rhonda fit in there?
Right.
We got to see a little bit of it, but they kind of seem monolithic from the beginning. Kind of like, oh, Shoup's our teacher and he's the gym teacher. I know what that feeling's like. Like my gym teacher taught health class. He was a terrible teacher.
Yeah.
He always talked like he needed CPR. And he was always like, so let's go to page 34, you know? He was just like always would rather be swimming.
Yeah.
But I guess there was a little bit of interplay, you know, with Chainsaw and Dave making fun of Ekian a little bit.
Yeah.
I felt like I wanted a little bit more of that, but I guess that wasn't really what this movie was about. So
things continue to break down as Jerome and half the class decide to take a bathroom break, and suddenly his roll sheet is also missing.
And they never come back. Like a lot of,
yeah,
because like there are like what 25 kids or something in there,
right?
And then by the end of it, we're down to like
12,
12 or something
like that, yeah.
And there's one guy who's there in quite a few scenes that they never focus on,
right?
The big tall guy with the mullet,
yeah.
But he's there in a couple of really key scenes,
right?
Even after everybody else is gone. So weird.
He gets to drop the sole F-bomb in the movie, but that's about all he really gets to do. After class, Shoup apologizes to Robin and wants to start over. He asks her out, but she shoots him down. Then it's revealed that the guy she's dating is that bite-in-the-ass Vice Principal Gills.
Now, in this scene, there is like this little glimmer of Kirstie Alley when she says, you know, you're a semi-charming guy. And she says it as like it's just a matter-of-fact compliment.
Yeah.
And I love that because it's so backhanded.
Yeah.
And it really kind of hits him right where he lives. And it felt more like her.
I also like when she comes in after the class is all spouting off curse words and everything. And on the way out, she's like, you know, could you maybe settle on some obscene gestures or something like that? And then she flips them off and she simulates fellatio and she goes, thank you, and turns around and walks out kind of like with a wink. It's hilarious.
Yeah, that was good.
We get a peek into the private lives of some of the students. Denise attempts to take her driver's test and immediately cuts through the grass and drives off the sidewalk. Chainsaw and Dave, who are connected at the hip, work at a photomat looking at nudie pictures while drinking on the job. Rhonda signs up for Lamaze classes without a coach, and when asked who the father is, she says it's either Sean Penn or David Lee Roth. I like how she delivers that line, too.
Yeah.
It's either David Lee Roth who's on tour or Sean Penn, and I'd really hate to upset Madonna, which really dates this movie.
Yeah, she's great in this movie, though.
She is.
I love Chainsaw and Dave, right?
Yeah.
So let's take them off the table.
Right.
Other than that, to me, the two heart and soul characters in this movie are Shawnee Smith as Rhonda and Courtney Thorne-Smith as Pam. I think she's brilliant in this movie, and it's like no wonder she wanted to have a great career.
We're about to meet Anna Maria here in just a moment, too, and she's really great. As kind of a fish-out-of-the-water exchange student, I really like her a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah.
Even though, well, we could talk about some of her attire later on.
Yes. Back in school, Shoup tries again to teach, or at least get past roll. Pam stares longingly at the ocean from the classroom and tells Shoup that she has to leave because of female problems. Chainsaw and Dave call bullshit. Real quick, Chainsaw and Dave, man, those two actors, Dean Cameron, who I dearly love, and Gary Riley, is that his name?
Gary Riley.
They've got perfect chemistry.
Oh, yeah.
They have chemistry like they've been best friends since childhood. Like and maybe they were, I don't know, but man, they are so good together. They're like a classic comedy team.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that because the commentary for this movie is Carl Reiner and Mark Harmon. And Reiner says in the commentary that he thought that Cameron and Riley he couldn't understand why they didn't become a comedy team that people would just make movies with.
Right.
All the time. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, what comedy teams were working in the 1980s, really?
Yeah.
I mean, you had buddy cop movies that people made together, like 48 Hours and another 48 Hours, which came along in the 90s, I think.
Right.
And the first Lethal Weapon, did it come out in the late 80s or early 90s?
87 also, I believe, yeah.
So you had that kind of stuff, but I don't really recall any like Jerry Lewis, Dean Martin pairings where they were in different movies together,
right.
or Hope and Crosby or whatever. So I think Reiner might have been hearkening back to the old days, even for 87.
Gills enters with Italian exchange student Anna Maria Mazzarelli, played by Fabiana Udino. Chainsaw and Dave are smitten, and they evict Ikian from his desk so she can sit between them. Shoop doesn't want to teach, so he takes them all to the library. On their way to the library, the majority of the class skip out, just leaving Chainsaw and Dave, Anna Maria, and Ikian. Chainsaw and Dave introduce themselves to Anna Maria.
I am Chainsaw.
Hi, Chainsaw.
Hi, I'm Dave.
Ciao.
Well, we love Italy,
Oh,
yeah. The pizza.
Mussolini.
And Tony Bennett.
The Mafia.
Yeah, Chef Boyardee.
Pinocchio.
Fellatio.
Oh, I don't like that.
Well, have you ever tried it?
Sure. Chef Boyardee, spaghetti in a can. It's so mushy.
Anna Maria?
See?
Have you seen the movie, Texas Chainsaw Massacre?
No. It is good?
Oh, I gotta tell you, I love this film. It had passion and a plucky spirit, and the characters had integrity. Like when Leatherface went on that strict diet of human flesh, he had to cut out chicken and fish completely.
Dave, I agree with you. I'll go a step further. Sure, Leatherface. He wore a mask made out of human skin and he hung people on meat hooks. But hey, we've all got quirks. I've got them. You've got them, Dave. That's what makes this character so compelling. Thumbs up from me.
Same here.
To sum it up, I'm Chainsaw.
I'm Dave.
We'll see you at the movies.
Okay.
The school security guard, played by Bill Capizzi, brings back the truant students who were spotted at a donut shop, and Pam, who is in a wetsuit. Shoop says he doesn't blame her. It's a perfect day for surfing. Chainsaw says that they shouldn't be in summer school. It's a joke. Shoop says he doesn't want to be there either, and asks if they have any ideas. Rhonda says field trips. Chainsaw has some bootleg permission slips in his bag. Shoop says to have their parents sign them. The students sign them on the spot in their parents' hand, and goddammit, we're going on a field trip.
Gills in this movie. That blazer, he looks like a golf ball salesman.
He does.
Right? I mean, it's atrocious.
Yeah, it is.
He looks like he got a tag team ass kicking from Uncle Sam and Scottish Bob.
Yeah. He looks like he would be one of Kurt Russell's co-salesmen in used cars.
He does. Yeah. Obviously, I guess they chose it for comedic effect, but I would never believe that character would choose that jacket. Because I don't think anybody would choose that jacket.
And what else isn't believable is that Kirstie Alley's character would date him.
Exactly. As soon as I see that jacket, I'm thinking no go. But then again, she is wearing a sweater dress thing later on.
Yeah.
So
well, that was popular in that period. He's wearing a jacket that was popular like 20 years before that. So
that's true. That's true. Well, 10 years. I mean, the Bob Newhart show. I mean, right. If you watch that, I think that jacket actually had a credit on Bob Newhart previous to this movie. So
they hit an amusement park, driving go-karts, which Denise struggles with and Larry sleeps through. They ride roller coasters and visit the petting zoo. Larry's great. A goat starts chewing on Shoop's Rolling Stones shirt. Pam offers to fix it, and he lets her. Then Chainsaw and Dave come out screaming with rabbits held to their faces. They pull the rabbits away, and the rabbits rip the flesh from their faces in gory fashion. They fall to the ground convulsing as the students and Shoop applaud. Anna Maria has no idea what in the hell is happening. They show her it's just foam latex, and she loves it.
Because she's Italian, right? She loves giallo movies.
That's right. That's right. Deodato, man.
Yeah.
Chainsaw and Dave tell Shoop that the next field trip needs to be the beach because they need to see Anna Maria in a bikini. Shoop absolutely understands. At the beach, Anna Maria disrobes, and Dave just goes stupid. She begins to remove her top, but Denise stops her, saying it's not the Riviera. Chainsaw and Dave find this cruel.
Anna Maria disrobes to reveal one of the least flattering bikinis in the history of film. I mean, it looks like Bedazzled Depends. I mean,
was gonna say the bottoms, they do look like a floppy, like COVID mask or something, don't they? Just
I could not believe that. Like, that was even more egregious than Gil's coat.
Yeah.
At least Gil's blazer had a time and place in fashion history. That bikini should have never had a time and place in history at all whatsoever. It was terrible. It's like a saggy sumo thong. It was terrible. It was terrible.
Saggy sumo thong.
So awful, dude.
We're expecting her to slap her thighs and start squatting down into the sand.
I do love Chainsaw and Dave's faces, though.
Yeah.
Dean Cameron's stupefied face just kills me.
And Cameron goes, "That was cruel," and Riley goes, "Oh."
Just his tongue melts.
Ekian's grandmother, Lillian Adams, finds out about the field trip to the amusement park, and she comes in and complains to Gills.
Going on throw-up rides and rubbing barnyard animals is the name of my autobiography. Like, when I write it.
Never a phrase was more perfect for our title for your book, rather than something like that.
Yeah, going on throw-up rides and rubbing barnyard animals. Available now at Amazon.com.
It's the autobiography of the year, says the Village Voice. Gills reprimands Shoop for it, calls his class a bunch of deviants without knowing how great they really can be, and suspends Shoop until the principal fires him. Shoop asks for a compromise. Gills says if he can get every student to pass, he'll forget about the field trips, and laughs at the suggestion. Shoop shows up to class in a suit with a Hawaiian print tie, because you can't take the beach out of him that easily. He immediately asserts his power.
Please take your seats.
Where should we take him?
Sit down, Francis. From this moment forth, you people eat English, sleep English, you are English.
Oh, then pass the crumpets, old boy.
I'm not kidding around. Anyone not interested in passing that exam can leave right now.
Chainsaw gets up to leave.
The guy's been pretty cool.
They called me Francis. Hasta luego, Placido Domingo.
Chainsaw. Dave, wait a minute. Look, Gills is having a cow about her field trips. Unless you guys all pass that test, my job is Memorex. Anybody got any ideas here?
Get yourself some one-ads.
Look, I don't care what your files say. You guys are not that dumb.
Actually, Mr. Shoop, those files are usually right on the money.
You all feel that way?
I do.
I may as well go home.
Mr. Shoop, look, we don't want you to lose your job. Think about what you're asking.
You want us to study?
The thought did cross my mind.
Well, what's in it for us? What do we get out of it?
Literacy? Oh, I'm sorry, I got that. I'd like to help. What can I do?
Give me your car.
And your house.
And your dog.
See ya.
Wait, Mr. Shoop, wait. There's room here to negotiate. What if you granted each one of us one wish?
What do you mean? Wish?
Like a favor? I mean, does anybody need anything?
I need somebody to work out with in case I get back on the team.
I could use a Lamar's coach. I need some driving lessons. Bad.
Okay, there's two of us. Therefore, we get two. All right. One, a party, your house, 4th of July weekend.
In Anna Maria's honor. Number two, you arrange a screening in class of the greatest movie ever made, the 1973 Tobey Hooper classic, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Now, that is also in Anna Maria's honor.
Thank you.
Diane, now, is there anything that you desire?
Oh, I don't deserve a wish. I don't take the test anyway.
God, she is so honest. We'll take hers. Chauffeur service for Dave and I every day to and from work.
Pam, what's your wish?
I'll tell Mr. Shoop when the time is right.
Oh. Larry, what do you want? He wants a bed. As for myself, I just want to be invited to the party.
We'll see.
Good enough. I think these are fair and reasonable requests. In return, we'll show up, we'll pay attention, and we'll even do a little homework. Is this contract acceptable to labor?
No doubt.
Does management agree?
You sure I'm management?
For our purposes here, yes. Do we have a binding agreement?
We got something.
All right, well, we put that baby to bed. Let's do lunch. I always wanted to see.
Tobey Hooper.
I love Flacido Domingo.
Yeah.
I guess that Tobey Hooper was Dean Cameron's pronunciation. That was one of his contributions, where they said Toby Hooper, but he changed it to Tobey Hooper.
It's perfect.
I think this scene is fascinating because it kind of embodies the 80s. And it also kind of embodies what, like, the education system has become. Kind of like this consumer culture, where it's like, what are you going to do for us if we're going to help you? And it's like, no, dipshit. Like, you're here to learn something, and I'm here to teach you something. And what you get is the grade to then move on and graduate and go do whatever it is you want to do.
Yeah.
But it's like you hear so many teachers now who talk about how parents come in and they say, why doesn't Johnny have an A? And you're like, because the little fucker didn't do the work.
Right.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So this is interesting because it kind of brings that down to this transactional thing. And I realize that they need it here for comedy or whatever. But at the same time, I kind of look at this scene now and there's a little bit of background fury, It's just kind of hanging around in the background.
Right.
Kind of like that mullet I used to have.
Yeah.
Was all the fury was in the back.
That's right. The fury and the flare.
That's right. That's right. All in one place.
Yes.
One fuels the other.
That's
It's
right.
just like a big DNA of awesomeness. Oh, God. But I wonder if I would have thought about it in those terms, if I would have thought about it that way back in 1987.
Yeah.
When I was still like middle school, high school, whatever, versus now where I look at it and say, you little shits.
Right. Shoop runs next door and asks Robin if she will teach him how to teach. She agrees and they meet at his house and they go over a game plan to teach based on the students' experiences. Shoop flirts with her and it's evident that she is attracted to his charm, but she's playing hard to get. Shoop puts his new skills to work.
Now, someone tell me why learning how to write is so critical.
It's a form of communication.
Amen. And it can get you free stuff.
Free?
Free. Right in the word free. Here's how it works. All of us have been ripped off, right? Payphone steals your money, not enough cheese on your pizza.
My shades keep falling apart.
Perfect. Now you're going to write that company a letter, and you're going to see action if your letter is clearly written and your letter threatens to hurt their business and is signed, forgive me, Chainsaw, Mr. Francis Grimp, President, Consumer Against Faulty Eyewear.
You want me to lie? Okay.
Now, anyone interested in learning the correct form, please turn to page 46 in your textbook. Shit works.
I like how Shoop uses the consumer urges we were talking about a little bit ago to teach the students how to write, because he kind of says, oh, we're doing a transactional thing here. Like, your sunglasses are breaking and you can write and get new sunglasses, that kind of thing, like using practical stuff to try to get them to learn something. And honestly, writing is still an undervalued skill because there are so many smart people out there who can't write an email to save their lives.
Right.
And I like how he does that here. It's almost like this film's version of a stand and deliver moment or a lean on me or a, whatever. Like, it actually shows some growth on his part.
Next, we get a montage of Shoop playing Make-A-Wish. He's playing tackling dummy for Kevin. He's going to Lamaze class with Rhonda. Then he gives Denise driving lessons, which is one of the funnier scenes of the movie. Chainsaw and Dave ride along until they realize that Denise is going to be driving. They hop out of the car, but Shoop insists that they ride along. Chainsaw has booze on his breath, and Shoop tells him that alcohol kills brain cells, and if he loses one more, he'll be a talking monkey. Denise is hideous behind the wheel. She pulls over as a car passes and drives painfully slow, leading Chainsaw to one of my favorite lines. We just got lapped by an old lady with a walker. When she parallel parks, she backs completely over the curb and onto the sidewalk.
Kelly Jo Minter is so great.
She is.
In this movie.
She is.
She's so excellent. I love how with her, she can play both tough and uncertain effectively.
Right.
I mean, in this movie, she's mostly uncertain, but you can tell that she could be tough whenever she needs to be. She's so excellent.
Yeah.
And as funny as the scene is, I feel for her.
Yeah.
I'm rooting for her every time I see her, so.
Chainsaw and Dave get their party at Shoop's house. They have a bag full of illegal fireworks, and they have created melon bombs, which they dedicate to Anne Maria.
Like, what don't they dedicate to Anne Maria
I know.
in this movie?
It's also on Anna Maria's honor. They toss the bombs in the air, and when they explode, they wake up Larry. He realizes he's late for something and runs out before Shoop can talk to him about school. Kevin and Rhonda talk about her becoming a mother. She doesn't seem terribly excited. The Kevin and Rhonda thing is kind of odd.
Yeah.
You're a popular jock, and you're interested in a pregnant girl.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not too far-fetched, I guess, but it's also one of those things like, well, if she keeps the baby, then, and you start dating her, then that potentially becomes instant dad as a teenager.
But see, that's the thing, is that what you're hitting on, man, is one of the fundamental issues with this movie.
Right.
I absolutely, positively love Carl Reiner.
Oh, yeah.
With that said, though, I think this movie doesn't know what it wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this little issue right here is kind of a symptom of that.
Right.
In that it doesn't know if it wants to be a dramatic thing, or it doesn't know how deeply it wants to go into this relationship or that relationship. So relationships like these two get short shrift.
Yeah.
Even though her story kind of comes to a climax with the story in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the thing about this movie, it's 97 minutes long.
Mm-hmm.
You could have pushed this movie closer to 2 hours. We could have gotten some reasoning from Kevin about why he was attracted to her, or what their history was, or how they knew each other. Maybe they've known each other since they were little kids, and they've always been friends, and maybe he always had a crush on her, and yada, yada, yada.
Right.
But we don't get any of that. We kind of just get these like 2 or 3 key scenes with them, and we're supposed to kind of go with it. And I think that happens in pretty much all the stories.
Right.
I was thinking, oh man, there's so many opportunities to skew this more towards a dramedy type thing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think it would have benefited from that, or do you think it would just take away from the movie and it should just be what it is?
I think for what it is, it would probably kind of take away from it. I don't think this movie is meant to be self-reflective at all. I think it's just meant to be a screwball comedy, and it totally succeeds as far as that's concerned.
Right.
I don't think it would hurt it necessarily, though, to have more of that aspect to it, to explain the characters a little more and why they do the things that they do.
Right.
Just to kind of enhance the movie a little bit more. But I don't think it necessarily misses it. I think the movie is what it's meant to be.
That's interesting.
Straight up in your face comedy is all. I think it's all it's meant to be.
I mean, I think hearing Reiner talk about it, I think that's all he set out to make, which is that if that's what he set out to make, it's fine. I think that they do flirt with some issues that kind of scream for a dramedy type treatment.
Right.
Because they kind of just give lip service to the system failing these kids, but they don't really talk about what that means necessarily.
Pam's story, which we were about to touch on, is probably the riskiest of all the storylines, too.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead. We could just talk about it right now. Go ahead.
Shoop is in his room relaxing. Pam arrives and brings him his repaired Rolling Stones shirt.
You all right?
Yeah. Come on in. Just resting up. Too much fun.
It's all sewn.
Hey, thanks. That's great.
I feel so at home here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. The Grunion are running tonight. In the dead of night, under a full moon, thousands of horny little fish swim hundreds of miles to ball their brains out in the sand. So romantic. You ever do that with one of your students?
No. I swim hundreds of miles. I'm ready for a nap.
Who's that?
Oh, it's Kim. She's sort of my girlfriend.
Sorta.
Well, she's in Hawaii.
So, you're all alone, And you like young girls.
Kim's not that young. She's 21.
I'm 16. And you should consider that. Because there's like no difference between 21 and 16 now. But when she's 66, I'll only be 61.
And I'll be 75, and it won't matter anyway.
Yeah.
Pam lays next to Shoop on the bed.
Come on, Pam. Time for more fun.
Wonderman!
I love how Shoop tries to diffuse the situation here.
Yeah.
Because she's talking about how these fish swim hundreds of miles to mate on the beaches or whatever.
Right.
And he says, well, I swim hundreds of miles. I just want to take a nap. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that was really brilliant. And, Harmon and Reiner do talk about this a little bit. The way that Shoop is positioned away from her, like his head, he's lying on the bed and his head is, like the top of his head is towards her.
Right.
And then when she lays on the bed next to him, she's kind of like leaning back against the headboard or whatever.
Right.
And it gets really close, and then he kind of...
Play with the dog.
Yeah, the scene with the dog, I think, probably gets him out of it.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is the riskiest storyline that they do. And it's kind of weird. This story's weird because it's risky, but at the same time, they also kind of use it as kind of a relationship complication between Shoop and Robin.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little weird. It's almost like a prop more than it's like an actual issue.
Right.
And I feel like, again, that's kind of what happens in this movie. So I guess with the screwball comedy aspect of it, I might be asking too much of Carl Reiner and of this movie.
Yeah.
But I also kind of feel like if you're not going to swim, don't get in the pool. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
on the opposite side, I mean, if they did tackle these subjects in a serious manner, then you'd have almost a lean on me.
Well, you would.
Yeah.
But I think that there's a way to do it with humor.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, I'm going to rock it ahead a little bit, right?
Yeah.
To the dyslexia thing.
Yeah.
When Denise finally says, I'm going to meet a tutor or the counselor or whatever about the dyslexia, it's just a line.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so Shoop has encouraged her to do it, and then she just kind of does it off screen. To me, all I'm saying is that to turn this from a comedy to a dramedy, Shoop introduces her to this tutor or this counselor, whoever, face to face, and really kind of makes a connection with her and this counselor. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
And that's a scene. That's one more minute of our lives,
right.
Screen time. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't think, I understand what you're getting at, though. Yeah. If they treated these seriously, this would be Stand and Deliver. This would be Lean on Me. This would be...
Right.
It would never be The Principal, but... Jim Belushi.
At least he gets to swing a bat in that movie, though,
That's true.
Those students are coming to kill him. Quite a bit different than these other movies we're talking about.
Poor beleaguered white man.
White man saves the black school. Yay!
That's right. Yeah, white savior. Swoop on in.
Now that we're talking about it, I don't like the principal anymore.
Show me your list of favorite movies and we can talk about them.
We'll break them down and completely change your mind about everything.
Let's weed some of these out. How many of them contain Jim Belushi as a character?
No, in fairness, I haven't seen that movie in probably 20 years, so it probably doesn't even hold up. I'm sure it doesn't.
I haven't seen that movie since it came out.
Yeah. That's one of those movies that Dale copied for me on a VHS, and we didn't go out and buy movies then, obviously, because it was expensive.
Right.
So he'd record 2 or 3 movies for me, and I'd watch the hell out of them. That was one of them. I just watched the hell out of it, because of that, I got a fondness for it.
Hey, I like terrible movies too.
We have to. That's why we're doing this show.
Yeah.
Dave lights a Roman candle and tosses it outside onto the beach. Again, he lights a Roman candle inside the house and tosses it outside onto the beach.
In the middle of a crowded party.
Yes.
We should probably reset the scene because I've taken us off course a lot. Inside a crowded house with a party.
Yeah.
High school kids drinking, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Uh-huh.
Like, it seems like they're drinking booze.
Yeah.
Because Ekian's throwing up in the kitchen garbage.
Yep.
And he lights this thing up and throws it out on the beach.
Yeah.
And if you throw something around Wonder Mutt, what's he going to do?
Wonder Mutt fetches the candle and brings it back to Dave, laying it on the couch.
Right.
Good boy. Good boy.
He'd being a good puppy.
And of course it ignites and the couch goes up in flames. Shoop rushes in with an extinguisher and Chainsaw and Dave dump his fish tank onto the couch. Shoop mourns the loss of his one small goldfish and calls an end to the party.
Harmon and Reiner talked about how they said, we did not kill that goldfish. They actually bought a dead goldfish to use.
Bought a dead goldfish.
There are some things about this movie that are very odd, like the behind-the-scenes stuff, like the Wheaties shirt that we see Shoop wearing later on. I guess the costume designer, chased some guy down the Venice Beach boardwalk to get that shirt because he was wearing it. They bought it off of him or rented it from him or whatever and used it. So
wow. This next scene's kind of interesting because at this point there's several instances where the students are just hanging out at Shoop's house seemingly all the time now.
Yeah.
They just gather there like he's their buddy now or something. So it's kind of odd.
But it's not consistent.
Right.
It's not like an all-the-time thing. And they're obviously not there studying for the test with him.
Right. So the next day, Chainsaw and Dave are drinking screwdrivers in front of Shoop's house on the beach when the cops bust them. A shirtless Shoop happens to roller skate by and Chainsaw and Dave call him over. Shoop falls on the sword and says the alcohol was his and that they were watching his stuff for him. The officers let Chainsaw and Dave go and arrest Shoop instead. Wondermutt barks and growls at the cops. Dogs on the beach is also illegal. Double whammy for Shoop.
From what I understand from Harmon and Reiner, the trainer got that dog maybe the day before this movie shoot started.
Whoa.
And they said he was just a really great dog. He just did everything that they wanted him to do. And sometimes he would do extra stuff that was even better above and beyond what they had written for them. So
That's
they
cool.
really lucked out.
The dog is really great in the movie. I mean, they give him some good stuff to do in the movie, and he does it well.
And I love the name Wondermutt.
Yeah, I do too. A jailer pushes Shoop, still on skates, into the holding cell with a bunch of classic-looking hooligans, and the cat calls begin. Shoop calls Robin to come bail him out, and he gets her answering machine.
Please leave your message after the beep.
Robin, it's your pal Shoop. I can't leave my number because I'm downtown in jail.
Jail?
What, you surprised?
I got arrested in my swim trunk, so I need $50 and a pair of shoes. It's a long story.
Listen, Robin, please don't mention this to that bite in the ass Gills. Hey, you're an angel. Dinner, dancing, Paris, you name it.
Hello, Mr. Shoop.
Who is this?
It's the bite in the ass.
When I say bite in the ass, I mean that in the nicest possible way. Can I talk to Robin, please?
I'm afraid Robin and I are on our way out of town.
But don't worry, we'll be right over. He's still a human being, Philip.
Robin, we have a very long drive ahead of us. If we go downtown now, we'll be stuck in all that traffic, and that's okay with me because then we'll be helping our good friend Mr. Shoop, and you won't think I'm a shit. Right?
Robin and Gills bail him out, and Gills says that his conviction isn't good for his career. Robin says that Shoop has been making great progress with the students, and Gills acts as if he's proud of him. Gills says he and Robin are going to wine country. A defeated Shoop skates away.
Wine country?
Going to wine country.
Wait! We can't stop here. This is wine country.
And now, intermission. Refreshment time.
2 minutes until showtime.
And now, a word from our sponsor.
Need a pick-me-up before our second feature? Visit our snack bar for an ice-cold Schlenay coffee. Our brew is crafted from mostly clear Kentucky stream water mixed with the finest bitter beans straight from Columbia, Missouri. Our secret is that we age this smooth beverage at 39 degrees Fahrenheit for 3 days before serving it to you, our loyal patrons. So head over to our snack bar and grab a cup of ice-cold Schlenay coffee, a bargain at $4.99 a cup. Schlenay coffee, don't drink water, it'll rust your gut.
90 seconds until showtime.
Coming soon to this drive-in theater.
Ski school. It's not about learning how to ski.
For Dave Marshall and his gang, life is one big party.
Welcome to my kingdom. I will bed you all before the night is through.
They're the best at what they do.
I've been watching you ski. You're really good.
May I present to you Section 8.
But the competition is fierce.
The dead. I control this mountain, and I say this is your last year.
With their backs against the wall, they'll do anything to win.
Do you want to have sex with me?
Okay.
Let's get naked!
They've got style.
Let the games begin.
Class.
Was this something about your wigwam?
Oh. And the perfect secret weapon.
Who is she? Where does she come from? You really care? Oh my God.
If they don't win, they'll lose the mountain forever.
Scum. Let's settle this once and for all. The best against the best. What do you say? Sure. And we ski the dome.
So for the wildest, most outrageous ride of your life, check into ski school.
Anyone for hot tub?
I love my life.
Ski school. It's not about learning how to ski.
Did we win?
And now, on with the show.
Shoop and Wondermutt share peanut butter and jelly out of the jar off of his finger.
Oh, God. So disgusting.
They do very few edits on this, too. I mean, it looks as if it's really happening.
It's disgusting, dude.
He tells the dog he needs to find a woman that's cultured with intellect. So for some reason, he ends up at a male strip club to find a woman.
Why? I don't understand that cut at all.
I don't either.
I mean, they should have put a card in there that said "Scene missing" before he showed up at that club.
Yeah.
That made no sense at all.
Not at all.
So he needs to find a cultured, intelligent woman, and I'm sure that there are cultured, intelligent women in male strip clubs.
Yeah.
You know, that's fine.
Yeah.
But how does a guy like Shoop say, I need a cultured, intelligent woman, so let me Magic Mike it and go to a place where there are all these men that are so much hotter than me.
That are naked.
That are naked. Wearing chaps and have abs.
Right.
You know?
Leave nothing to the imagination.
Yeah, I mean, Harmon's charming, but we've just seen him without his shirt.
Yeah.
And it's nothing to write home about.
He's average at best,
He's average, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, compared to me, he's Arnold Schwarzenegger in 1984 in this movie.
He tries talking to a woman that's way more into the male stripper than Shoop, obviously. The stripper, though, turns out to be Larry. Shoop approaches Larry and he wants to know what the hell. Larry says the club thinks he's 21 and not to spoil the gig for him. Shoop asks him to try and stay awake and study, but Larry blows him off. Shoop says he hates that kid.
And he hates him why?
He's got it all figured out at 17.
He's got it all figured out at 17. I love it when Larry looks at him and says, if you could know everything that you know now at 17, basically, would you do it? I do know it.
Yeah.
And you know what? He is right. As much as I think education should be about learning stuff and getting knowledge and all that kind of stuff, and I'm all for that, Larry knows what he wants, and this is what he wants to do. And if that's what he wants to do, you got to let people do what they want to do.
That's right.
And Shoop hates him for it. And I love the way Shoop then, after that, in class, like he just kind of backs off a bit more.
Right.
And stops hounding him.
Yep.
Because he hates him. Kid's got it all figured out, man.
Yeah. The next day, Chainsaw and Dave recite their 100-word oral report on who they admire most.
Who we admire most in the world and why? The person we admire most in the world is makeup artist and creature creator Rick Baker.
His wonderfully gruesome slime bladders and slobber tubes in American Werewolf in London won him a richly deserved Oscar. That is why we admire makeup artist and creature creator Rick Baker very, 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 very much. It's 100 words on the nose. You can if you want.
Of course, it's Rick Baker.
Right.
I mean, who would it be?
I admire the man myself. He's damn good at his job.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny, too, about Rick Baker. Today, my son and I were watching countdown shows on YouTube, and a lot of them revolve around movies. And we were watching one about the scariest movie scenes of all time, and one of them was the transformation scene in American Werewolf in London. So we're watching that, and he just marveled by it, and I was like, those are all practical effects. And he's like, get out of here, And I'm like, no, those are practical effects. It's like, we got to watch that movie. And he's like, yeah, we got to watch that movie. He's all into it. He's all excited.
Yeah.
But that's amazing. Still amazing. Pam is next on the oral reports, and while she doesn't name names, it's obvious she's talking about Shoop.
It's such a teenager thing.
Yeah.
She's so perfect in this movie,
She
man.
is.
She just totally hits every single note perfectly in this movie.
She does. Hey, she's got a Jim Belushi connection, too. She was his wife, and according to Jim.
Dude, I watched that show, and the reason I watched that show was her and Kimberly Williams Paisley.
Oh, yeah.
Is that right? Because it was Kimberly Williams first, right? Father of the Bride.
Yeah.
Still love that movie.
Oh, yeah.
There's Jim Belushi. I'm thinking one of these days somebody's going to knock his block off and this is going to become the Courtney Thorne-Smith show.
Yeah, no kidding. Denise doesn't admire anyone most, so she goes with who she admires least, her ex-boyfriend Andre. She gives Andre what for, and then Shoop wants her paper, but she refuses and says she was mugged for money and homework.
In the summertime.
Shoop announces that they are going on another field trip, this time to the courthouse, so Shoop can have his day in court over contributing to a minor. Shoop arrives home to see Pam waiting with a suitcase. Her wish for Shoop is to let her move in with him. She was living with her brother, but they've run out of room. Everyone else got their wish. Shoop allows her to stay, but only temporarily. That's where it gets a little uncomfortable there, and a little more here as we go along.
In the commentary, Reiner even mentions Mary Kay Letourneau. When they're talking about this, he said he didn't necessarily want to go in that direction or anything, but he acknowledges how close.
Right. Chainsaw and Dave get their second wish, the classroom viewing of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. When Edwin Neal goes under the wheels of the semi, Chainsaw replies, "That's not a real person. It's a stunt man."
It obviously was not a stunt man, right?
No stunt man could go under the wheels of a semi, no.
No.
I just love how he delivered. It's not real. It's a stunt man. Gills arrives with the box that was delivered to Chainsaw. The movie ends and they open the box. He wrote the letter to the sunglasses company about their defective eyewear, and he was sent a box of assorted sunglasses for his trouble. Power of the pen.
That's right, son.
Denise hasn't finished her consumer letter and asks Geekian if he would help her. She gives him the letter and he looks concerned. Kevin asks Rhonda out on a date, but she has Lamaze class. She asks if he wants to be her coach, and he accepts. Ekian gives Shoop Denise's letter in confidence. He shows it to Robin, and she says that Denise is dyslexic. She slipped through the system. Much like every serious conversation these two have, it ends with Shoop asking her out on a date. He wants to know what she sees in Gills, and she struggles to find the right words. Shoop asks if she's in love with him, and she won't answer. He says she needs an intelligent, sensitive man who can skate.
You know what she loves about Gills? That blazer, dude.
Yeah. And he's extraordinarily tidy.
Yeah. I love that his haircut and his wardrobe are basically from 1976.
Yeah. I love that he looks like he walked right off the set of Brady Bunch.
Yeah.
It's time for Denise's driver's test. Chainsaw has a test too, and he needs to borrow Shoop's car. Shoop reluctantly lets him. Denise takes her test and nails parallel parking. Chainsaw, in his typical fashion, farts around and crashes into a tree. Denise passes her test and hugs Shoop. He asks her to do him a favor and see a specialist for her reading. Chainsaw is still trying to talk the instructor into not failing him and hands Shoop the bumper of his car.
Now, Denise getting caught in the seatbelt when she tries to get out of the car is hilarious.
Yeah.
And I guess that was unplanned.
Oh, really?
I guess that was just like an accident.
I'm glad she didn't stop herself and just kept rolling with it, because that is really funny.
Oh, it was really funny.
Yeah.
But Harmon said that he had broken his shoulder, and I think he'd had surgery or whatever 10 days before the shooting for this movie started.
Oh, wow.
So between takes, he would have his shoulder brace on or whatever. Then he would take it off, or if they did a close up and he wouldn't see the brace, he would have it on. Well, when she got out of the car here, she ran at him and jumped up and scissor hugged him. She was all around him.
Yeah.
I guess that she re-broke his shoulder.
Oh, shit, really?
Yeah, and he just like totally played it off.
Yeah.
And just carried on.
Never would have known.
Reiner didn't know until they did the commentary 20 or 30 years later.
No kidding? Damn, Harmon's a pro.
Yeah, he's a real pro.
Wow.
Yeah. I was shocked. And he pointed to, the little reverse shot where she's standing there talking to him and he's looking at her.
Yeah.
And if you look at him, his right shoulder is a little bit lower than his left. That's because it was rebroken.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Shoop arrives home and Pam is making dinner. Robin arrives to bring Shoop a book, sees Pam, and starts silently freaking out.
Oh.
Shoop tells her outside that she needed a place to stay, and Robin says that what he's doing is harmful to her. Shoop goes back in and evicts her with a surfing metaphor.
Man, the thing that she gives him, the whole, Freddie, if you're going to bring somebody over for dinner, that's fine, but you have to call and let me know.
Right.
It's just like, oh, no.
Yeah.
No, sweetie. No, baby. No. Let's don't do this right now.
Yeah, I know. She's totally talking to him like they've been together for years or something.
So uncomfortable.
The next day, Shoop is collecting homework, and by God, Larry is alive.
Mr. Shoop, aren't you on mine? Larry, you're awake with homework.
What's wrong with you?
I got fired. They found out my real age.
Hey, I didn't say a word.
No, it's all right. My mom came to a show.
Your mother?
It was a nightmare. And before she knew who I was, she put $5 in my G-string. And then my Aunt Edna, she kisses me with tongue and rips off my mask. And Mom freaked out. She made me put on her coat.
I'm sorry.
You're sorry. I'm at my sexual peak. And once a guy hits 18, it's all downhill.
But it's a lovely ride.
But it's a lovely ride. I love that line too.
Yeah. One of the things that I love about movies is questionable left field hairstyles.
Yeah.
And Larry in this scene has the weirdest ducktail hairstyle thing going on.
Yeah.
He looks like an understudy in a touring production of Grease. I mean, he's just so weird.
Yeah.
And I'm just thinking to myself, throughout the rest of the movie, he does not have that hairstyle at all. But in here, they show the back of his neck, and it is like a Lords of Flatbush ducktail.
Right.
I don't understand
Yeah.
where that came from. Like Scrooge McDuck could not afford a ducktail like that. And it's kind of like Nuke's hair towards the end of Bull Durham,
Right.
where it's all at once, it's just like blam.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Like they took a couple months off from shooting and he just kept letting it grow. Yeah.
Yeah. And discovered new ways to use hairspray and gel and grease.
Yeah.
I don't know what was going on here, but I love that in movies. I think Lane pointed it out with Campbell Scott and Singles.
Right.
Even though it wasn't quite as obvious for me in that, but this was blatantly obvious.
Yeah.
Oh, go grease lightning, gonna burn out the quarter mile.
He's got a perfect coiffure.
Yeah.
The next day, Shoop goes to court. The judge wants to know why he took the fall for Chainsaw and Dave, and he said he was trying to keep them out of trouble. The judge has some questions for Dave.
Where did you young men obtain the vodka in question?
From Murray.
Who's Murray?
You know Murray. Everybody knows Murray. From Murray's Liquor.
Didn't this Murray ask to see proof of age?
Well, I come out pretty mature.
Did you show him proof of age or not?
Yeah, I guess I did.
May I see it, please?
I'd rather you didn't.
I'd rather I did.
Dave approaches the bench.
You were a black Marine in 1968?
Yeah, Vietnam. A war puts a man through many, many changes.
Young man, the possession of false identification and of alcohol by a minor are serious crimes. You've just confessed to both of them.
I didn't mean to.
However, since the arresting officers let you off with a warning, I'll probably do the same.
Is this guy bitching or what?
Afterward, Robin interrupts and tells the judge that Shoop going to jail for his students shows dedication to his students. The judge agrees and dismisses the charges, which would never happen. Dave tries to grab the ID and gets a gavel to the hand.
No, I mean, with all the interruptions, I don't think the judge allowed the interruptions, but I mean, this was hardly a nail biter of a scene, right? I mean,
But I mean, he wouldn't slip that conviction either. He would.
Oh, I think he would totally get out of it.
You do?
Oh yeah, walking into a court, white dude, white students. He's walking out. I mean,
well,
he's like free before he even walks into the courtroom, dude.
Yeah.
You know,
well, this was 1987, I guess. So it's a possibility.
That's true.
Yeah.
He goes into the judge and he says, "If you grant a wish for me, I'll let you convict me."
Oh, God. Outside, Gills tells Shoop he's filing a complaint with the principal because he's a loser just like his students. Robin hears this and tells Gills that he's a two-faced bite in the ass.
Okay, so your line was better
Yeah.
than what her line was.
Yeah.
Like you could go to lunch, but order 2 lunches so you could feed both your faces.
Yeah, one for each face. Yeah.
Yeah, it was a long way to go.
Yeah.
I think she should have just kicked him in the nuts.
Right.
I think if you just a well-placed nut shot, this movie is a little slapstick at times anyway, so.
Big solid knee to the nuts, and it's take your hand on his back and just lightly push him to the ground so he falls with it.
That's right.
Yeah.
And maybe take his blazer. Don't let him get away with the blazer.
No more of this. No more of this.
Yeah, just take this. I'm a mugger who wants money, your blazer, and homework.
Yeah.
Those 3 things.
The next day, things finally come to a head with the spoiled students.
Okay, today we take a practice test. Pinpoint each of your weak spots, then we work a couple hours after school to really straighten them out.
Whoa, wait. Practice test extra class time? That wasn't in the contract. You can get him.
Hey, the test is in 2 weeks. You all need the extra work.
And I'm afraid we're gonna need some extra incentive.
Yeah, like a party with a band.
I could use some wheels bad.
And get me a job, man, doing stripograms.
I don't believe this greed.
Believe it, man. I need a houseboy.
It's a simple matter of renegotiating our contracts.
Renegotiate? Who do you think you are, Teamsters?
Yeah, Teamsters. Strike. Yeah.
Strike. Look, for the past 4 weeks, I have given up all of my free time. Had my body used for a tackling dummy, my house trashed, my couch set on fire, my goldfish murdered, my butt thrown in jail, and my car wrecked. All I'm asking for is a little extra effort. You know what's sad is you guys could all pass that test. But you're just so happy being failures that you just don't know, why am I doing this? Tell you what, you guys drop out and be illiterate. I'm going to Hawaii and be tan. Have a cow.
I really love the way Harmon does this scene, the way he delivers this whole rant at him, about having his butt thrown in jail and his car wrecked, his goldfish murdered.
Yeah.
His whole speech here, his whole monologue is great.
It really is.
Yeah.
And like his anger when he throws the book against the wall, it's like a weak anger, but that's exactly what Shoop is.
Yeah.
Like it's that kind of anger. He's not a guy who gets angry very easily, obviously.
Right.
And he's a guy that's pushed to his breaking point, but he's also not a guy that's accustomed to being angry.
Right.
So when he throws the book against the wall, it's more tepid than my 5th grade teacher, Mrs. McCown. If anybody out there had Mrs. McCown, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, she didn't talk to us for the entire Pioneer Week because we were such a bad class. She has more anger on her happiest days than Mark Harmon or Shoop has in this scene. And that's okay. I hope she's still around. She's one of my favorite teachers, but man, Pioneer Week was rough in 5th grade, son.
That's why you liked her, was because she's so angry.
That's right. Always in the background, just kind of like a mullet of anger.
On the way out, he says goodbye to Robin and that he quit. She says he can't quit and that he was getting through to the students. He disagrees. She says he's asked her 1,000,000 times to go out to dinner and he hasn't given up. He asks her out again and she says she can't. He says, see?
This is my favorite scene between them in this movie.
Yeah.
I really love this scene. I think this is like, to me, where their chemistry really kind of shows through.
Yeah.
And it's like the one where they're the furthest apart, probably.
Gills takes over the class and gets hard-assed. He tells them to open up their book and read a chapter they've already read. They all begin to hum in unison, but Gills doesn't care. The bell rings and he says if they act like psychopaths tomorrow, they will be sorry. And Chainsaw and Dave accept that challenge.
Why would you even say that knowing those two are in your class?
No kidding.
Why even lay it down the gauntlet like that?
I love how Dave is like rubbing his chest and he's like, "Ooh, we will be sorry."
Oh, yes.
Gills brings a substitute teacher, Miss Kira, played by Lucy Lee Flippin, who you may remember from Little House on the Prairie.
Yes.
Brings her to the class and says the students are challenging. Denise comes running out screaming and covered in blood. They enter and find a house of horrors. Pam has her throat cut and blood is squirting from the gash. Anna Maria has been hung with a knife in her gut. Rhonda has her throat cut with a ruler shoved sideways in her mouth. Kevin's hand has been severed and it crawls across the desk, pulls his tongue out, and slaps him in the face with it. Yeah. Larry is laying on a cot but has been disemboweled. His eye has been pulled out and a pencil shoved through it. He fumbles with his intestines trying to shove them back into his body. Ekian emerges from a cabinet with a saw blade in his head and falls on top of Larry. Chainsaw and Dave come running into a room covered with blood, wielding chainsaws. They tell Gills that he was right. They're psychopaths. Somebody better call the school nurse.
I love the dance.
Yeah.
The chainsaw dance that chainsaws do it.
Gills tells him to kill the engines and has everyone get up. Miss Kira fucks off. Ekian tells Gills they want Shoot back or they'll just keep on with the shenanigans. Gills relents.
In the commentary, Harmon told a really cool story that Reiner wouldn't have told himself. But I guess that Reiner purposefully kept this scene until Halloween Day. And he knew that all of the actors, like the teenagers or, the actors who were playing teenagers, he knew that all of them had plans to go out to Halloween parties. So he did this on this day so then they could take the makeup and wear it to their Halloween parties. Huh. And he let them off early and everything.
That's cool.
But he kind of shifted the schedule a little bit so that they could have that on this day.
That's awesome.
I thought that was really kind of a cool thing.
So now I'm going to tell you why I have such an affinity for this movie.
Uh-oh. Okay.
This scene right here has a lot to do with why I like horror movies, or I should say love horror movies. The reason being is because when this movie came out, I was 12 years old, and I was very skittish about horror movies. Didn't care for them, had only seen a few of them, just wasn't into it. This movie right here, watching them do the practical effects the way they did, it softened me up to it. It's kind of what led me into the love of horror movies because I could kind of see how the sausage was made a little bit. I hate that saying, but it kind of softened me up to it and kind of showed me how things were done because this was before director's commentaries and behind the scenes shit. You have to watch Entertainment Tonight if you wanted to see any of that, but this kind of gave me like, oh, that's how they do that. Oh, okay. The guts are okay. Wow. Okay. This kind of led me into giving horror movies a try. And after that, it was like a don't look back situation. So I really, really give this movie a lot of credit for my love of horror movies.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Huh. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's real. You literally saw how the sausage was made because Larry's intestines were like sausage.
That's right. Yeah. Nice and linked up. All they had to do was twist it off, So
That's right. That's right. Breakfast.
Yep. Shoop is on the beach eating a gallon of ice cream. Wondermutt wants to play fetch with his favorite toy, a plush doll head named Bob. Shoop doesn't want to play, but the dog keeps on. Shoop launches Bob into the ocean, and it takes Bob away. The dog mourns. Shoop falls asleep on the beach. The students show up still covered in blood and latex.
Update school? We've been torturing Gil.
Yeah, you said you could have your job back.
Now, why would I want my job back? Hey, my life is sailing. Got a radio, blanket, beach chair, dark glasses, dog. Why would I want to go back to you guys?
How about we can't pass that test without you?
Me and Chainsaw, we've been sober for 2 days, 4 hours, and 15 minutes.
No kidding?
Swear to God. Reality is so unreal, but it is a nice change.
True, thumbs up.
I think you should know that you were a phase. I've outgrown you. But I do want to be friends, if you can handle it.
And Shoop, I'm seeing that reading specialist this afternoon, too.
Look, study in school, after school, whatever it takes. But we need a teacher. What do you say, Mr. Shoop?
Please.
How can I say no to these cute little faces?
Then we get another montage. This time is the students studying at home and at school. Robin helps out Shoop with the students. Denise works with a specialist. Shoop and Robin look over the practice test, but the looks on their faces suggest that the results aren't that great. Meanwhile, Wonder Mutt is depressed over Bob. Poor Wonder Mutt.
Poor Wonder Mutt.
That's another part right there where the dog's really, really good because he's just laying there, just totally disinterested, and Shoop kind of rubs him on the head, and he's just like, fuck off, dude.
Yeah, I know. Just get away from me.
You killed my buddy, man. Leave me alone.
I think that Bob was originally supposed to be a Cabbage Patch doll. That was like how it was written in there, what they were going to do. But the Cabbage Patch people were like, no, I don't think so. You're not going to do that.
One thing I do like about this scene, too, is that Shoop cuts off the head of another doll, and he's like, Wonder Mutt, look, I found Bob. If you look in the background while he's holding it, his mouth isn't moving at all. You see him in the background, he's kind of blurred out, but his mouth isn't moving at all. It's funny.
I love that, too, though. It's like that little shift, because usually the whole storyline is that a pet dies and then somebody tries to get another pet that looks just like it to fool the kid or whatever.
Right.
But, you know.
Chainsaw has a very vivid nightmare that he doesn't know anything.
I love his alarm hand that strokes his severed hand that strokes his neck.
Yeah. It's test day. Jerome returns from the bathroom after 6 weeks to take the test. He tells Shoop his zipper got stuck.
That's a great joke.
Yeah. And he brings the hall pass back with him, too.
He's got the hall pass back. I love at the very beginning when he hands him the hall pass, he looks at it, he's like, this is worse than a gas station. Yeah. The hall pass is enormous.
Yeah. It looks like a wet floor sign or something.
It does.
Yeah. Gills brings a security guard to make sure there's no cheating because he's a bite in the ass. Chainsaw lets out a tension-breaking scream and the test begins.
Tension breaker had to be done.
We get another montage with the song Mind Over Matter by E.G. Daily. You might remember E.G. Daily from Valley Girl and as Dottie in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Everyone's trying not to freak out while taking the test. During the test, Rhonda goes into labor but rides it out till the end. The test ends and Kevin asks if he and Rhonda can go to the hospital, and Shoop freaks out and clears a path. Chainsaw and Dave, of course, ask them to save the umbilical cord and the afterbirth if it's convenient.
If it's convenient, yeah. I love that part. If it's convenient.
If it's convenient. Days later, the students get together at Shoop's. Rhonda's out of the hospital and tells him she gave the baby up for adoption. Shoop arrives looking glum. The average grade was below passing. Shoop feels like a failure.
Now, I got something I got to say here, if it's okay.
Yeah.
I've said before, I've expressed the opinion before, that anything that happens on a movie is a director's fault, ultimately, right? Like, if they're going to take the credit for the good stuff, they got to take the fault for the bad stuff.
Yeah.
But I feel like in this scene that Shawnee Smith's performance of Jeff Franklin's writing really carried the whole scene.
Mm-hmm.
The reason that I put the credit with them, partly, is because in the commentary for this scene, Harmon tried to say that it was Reiner who had done it here. Reiner who had created this character that was in Rhonda that was sympathetic, that people could believe in. And I thought to myself, not really, right? Mm-hmm. Because it's not like Reiner did anything that was outside of the script. Reiner said that himself. Reiner praised the script throughout. But this was another instance of a bunch of instances that I didn't point out in this movie where Harmon tried to undermine or dismiss the writer, Jeff Franklin. Even as Reiner was praising the script, Harmon would try to undermine him. And Harmon at one point said, the script wasn't even that good until you got a hold of it, Carl. I think that doing that, like, say, putting that on Reiner, I think does a huge disservice to both Shawnee Smith and Jeff Franklin. Now, in Harmon's defense, he does put over his fellow actors fairly frequently in the commentary for this movie. But I don't think he ever said any good thing about Jeff Franklin and his writing. Not one good thing. To me, it felt like the stereotypical actor who's like eating their own Wheaties when it comes to, hey, I improvise this and I improvise that. Like in this movie, Harmon claims that the scene that's coming up here at the very end was something that happened to him outside of a restaurant, and he suggested it to Reiner, and so they put it in the movie. Now, Reiner went along with it, but this was the thing that really soured me on Mark Harmon as a person.
Yeah.
Just because I feel like people already discredit and do disservices to writers enough. And pretty much any film criticism, I don't want to say film criticism, it's not that deep. Any film reviewer who has something bad to say about a movie, they're going to blame the screenwriter first. Well, this script is bad, da-da-da-da-da. When they've likely never written a script. So they don't have any idea when there's something that's written that maybe a director has done that has messed that up. Or, well, frankly, I mean, a lot of things, if something bad gets to the screen, it's probably going to be the director's fault, because you can't necessarily make a good movie out of a bad script. It's not really done very often. I can't even think of a time it's been done. I think we've talked about that before. But I felt like in this scene, I loved Shawnee Smith's performance and the writing, because the way it explained the adoption, it was her decision. She was reasonable about it. There was some emotion involved, but it was also a sensible decision because she knew she wouldn't be a good mother. Not necessarily she wouldn't be a good mother, but she knew she couldn't take care of the child at her age. She wasn't ready for it. And I really admired that. And it was one reason I felt like her story deserved more than it got. Hers and Kevin's story, ultimately. But that's what made me think a little bit less of Mark Harmon. Because I felt like, you know what? Everybody puts in, and if Jeff Franklin doesn't write this script based on the story that he and a couple of other writers here put together, then Mark Harmon doesn't get up there and get paid. Carl Reiner doesn't get up there and get paid.
Doesn't get his face on a movie poster.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me play devil's advocate just for a second.
You should do that.
It is Jeff Franklin who unleashed upon the world and created Full House.
Well, I mean, we all have bad days.
That man got paid, though, because that show is still in reruns.
He did. I mean,
it's terrible.
I think the difference between, like, me looking at something that Jeff Franklin did and saying that doesn't resonate with me, or something I don't really dig, like Full House, is different from, I worked with Jeff Franklin on this, and if it weren't for something, that would be almost like Bob Saget saying, oh, Jeff Franklin, he sucks. We did all the work.
Right. It sounded to me like Harmon just didn't like him, and that's probably the tall and short of it.
That's what it felt like. As great of an actor as Mark Harmon is, apparently he can't act like he doesn't have disdain for his collaborators. So he must not be that good. Maybe that's why Oscars never come knocking.
Maybe he wanted the Uncle Jesse job on Full House, and Franklin turned him down, and he's held a grudge ever since. I mean,
maybe, but hey, come on. Stamos is hot, right? Like, I hate that show, but Stamos is hot. Like,
good-looking man.
I mean, granted, he's no Dave Coulier, but he is hot.
Just think if Dave Coulier and Stamos were the same guy, though. Super hot that could do really dumb impressions.
Amazing. And their mullet game. I mean, we're talking about mullets earlier. The mullet game between those two is spectacular.
Stamos' mullet, that looked like a wig. It was so perfect.
Yeah.
Just big sweeping tidal wave of hair.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I could dig it.
Principal Caliban, played by Frank McCarthy, returns, and he reads a list compiled by Gills of all the offenses that Shoop and the class have committed over the summer. Gills produces Shoop's dismissal form, but the students and their parents arrive to speak on Shoop's behalf.
I'm Principal Kelvin. Is there a spokesperson here? I guess I am. I'm Howard Grimm.
Your chainsaw's father. Interesting boy.
No, you can say it. He's a lunatic.
Dad.
No, 6 weeks ago, I thought he had the IQ of a salad bar. His only interest in life was to make people sick. I mean, if my mother came to dinner, he would give the dog a third eye or an extra leg. Because of him, we stopped having kids. I mean, you can imagine the feeling when I saw him studying. The wife and I almost burst into tears.
David was doing his homework, too.
It makes sense. They share the same brain.
Not only did Mr. Shoop get my daughter to read, he taught her to drive.
He showed Kevin there's more to life than just football. I'm not sure I agree, but it's possible.
This man should not be teaching. Proof is right here in these test results. Look for yourself, Mr. Shoop. Passing is 70. Average score here was 63. They failed.
That is not true, Mr. Gills.
You mean we passed?
Well, no, not all of you. But that's not what's important here. Larry, went from an 18 to a 51.
Oh, if I'd only seen you strip a week sooner. Ooh, you.
Mom, my... Rhonda, from a 29 to a 43, and she gave birth.
Oh. Isn't childbirth grounds for makeup test?
It always has been.
This woman thing never fails.
Ekian, a 51 to a 74.
I pass. Oh, I am an Eeky and Grams.
All right, Eaker. Denise, no previous test score because you ditched every test, but a 38.
Honey, that's terrific.
We'll get him next time.
Kevin,
Yeah.
from a 48 to a 75.
Yeah, I'm back on the team.
Yeah!
Carol!
Chainsaw! The last score was a 6. This time, 59. Monster comeback.
All right.
And Dave, from a 26 to a 70.
Passed!
You made it.
You passed. You passed and I failed, you asshole. How could you do that to me?
It was an accident. Take it again. I can fail. I know it.
And Pam went from a 53 to an 82.
Was that the highest?
Well, almost. I mean, that guy who spent 6 weeks in the bathroom got a 91. But look, there's more going on here than test scores and grades. You all worked hard and you improved.
Yeah, that's very nice, Mr. Shoup. The point is, we are here to discuss Mr. Shoup's flagrant violation of school policy.
Hold it, Gills. According to my numbers, the average scores here increased from 28 to 63. Now, that's 125% improvement. Now, that's teaching. Yeah. Mr. Shoup, I'm granting you tenure.
He's back, ladies and gentlemen!
Yeah, when we saw him studying, me and his mom almost burst into tears. Boist.
I love how Dave passes the test, but Chainsaw doesn't, and Chainsaw gets pissed, and Dave's like, well, I can take it again and fail, man. I can do that.
You passed and I failed, you asshole. How could you do that to me?
Writers did say that was an ad-lib between those two.
I also like how Pam got an 82, and she goes, is that the highest score? He goes, no, the guy that went to the bathroom got a 91.
Jerome.
Yeah.
Jerome comes back with one of the best jokes of the whole movie and then knocks a 91 out of the park.
Robin and Shoup walk along the beach, and he tells her that he's going to ask her for the very last time if she'll have dinner with him. She says she'll think about it. He applies some chapstick, and she asks if she can have some of his lip stuff. He offers her the chapstick, but she kisses him instead. They lay down on the sand and continue to passionately kiss. Bob washes back up on the beach, and Wonder Mutt loses his shit. He runs back over and begins to lick their faces while they kiss to end the movie.
I love the From Here to Eternity nudge there where they lay down. And I guess that the dog wasn't supposed to lick their faces or anything, but he just came over there and was like, oh, you guys are licking each other's faces. I'm down. Let's do this, you know?
Yeah.
He starts licking their faces and stuff.
You could kind of tell the way they were laughing, too. It looked like it was off the cuff.
Yeah. I mean, at least Wonder Mutt was cool enough to just improvise like that and then not slag off on the writer. So, I mean,
at least he didn't just sit there and watch them kiss. That'd be creepy.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, I guess that you can't see what I'm, out there in podcast land, you can't see, but I have hands here. So my opinion of Wonder Mutt is here. My opinion of Mark Harmon is down here. So
I think it's pretty low too, folks.
It's pretty low.
Yeah,
it's just above my junk.
Hey now. Well, you've got kind of a mixed bag on this movie. I loved it, and I still love it. It still holds up for me. So.
Yeah, there's stuff about it I liked a lot. I thought all of the kids were great, even though Ekian, I kind of wanted to kill him, or at least hit him in the face.
Especially when they were renegotiating the contracts. He got all snide there, and I was like, you little shit.
Yeah, I didn't like that. But Kelly Jo Mittner, Shawnee Smith, Courtney Thorne-Smith, my God, that was a good performance, I thought. Just a great performance, I should say. Dean Cameron, I mean, come on.
We'll be covering Ski School in the future. We promise you that. Whether you want it or not, we're going to bring it to you because Chuck and I, we bonded over Ski School.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of bad movies that I just...
Not that we didn't bond before that, but I mean, Ski School. I mean, you and I watched that movie probably a million times.
Yeah. I mean, the two things. Yeah. Ski School and D.B. Sweeney. Those are the two things that we bonded over.
D.B. Sweeney.
I still have that $5 bill framed.
Yeah, I'll bet you do.
Yeah, Ski School, speaking of bad movies, man, I mean, that's a bad movie. But it's basically a movie that's all sketches, and I love it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's all sketches with nudity about every 5 minutes. So.
Yeah. And Dean Cameron just going, and you get beer, you know?
Yeah.
But to me, that's the kind of comedy that I look at and say, Ski School is a comedy that knows what it wants to be, and it just is that thing, and it's unapologetically that thing. The only problem I had with Summer School is that sometimes I felt like it didn't know what it wanted to be.
I get that.
But that's it. I mean, otherwise I thought the kids were excellent. Gil's blazer should have gotten billing. And I thought Harmon was charming as Shoop. I mean, I thought he played Shoop just about as well as... Well, no, I take that back. Kurt Russell would have been better.
Well, I mean, we could replace almost anybody and put Kurt Russell in the role, and we'd feel the same way. So
yeah, well,
I know you don't like Harmon. Let's not be that rude.
No,
to the man.
I don't. I just dislike the way Harmon treated. I think as an actor, he's a decent actor. Like he's not one of those guys that when I see, oh, Mark Harmon's in it, it'll immediately make me watch it. But that's not saying anything about him. That's a personal taste thing.
Right.
I think Kurt Russell would have knocked this part out of the park, even more than Harmon did. But I thought Harmon was good.
I think at this time, Russell was a little higher up on the food chain than doing a movie like this, though.
But you got to think about it. Like he was up for Bull Durham, which I think this was probably... at the time, maybe considered about the level of Bull Durham, maybe even a little higher if you think about like having Carl Reiner as the director, who was a legendary comedian.
That's true.
You know, I thought Harmon did a good job. I don't have the nostalgia.
Oh, yeah.
So it's just, I'm just kind of looking at it as if I saw it for the first time 4 days ago, you know. I don't, what do you want me to say, dude? I mean,
I'm waiting for you to finish. That's
that judgmental look. I can see
I'm
you
not
out
judging
there.
anyone. I'm not judging anyone. You have poor taste. It's not on me. It's not on me at this point. Before we get into Remake or Rembrandt, I do want to dedicate this episode to our friend Jessica Miller. This is her favorite 80s movie.
Your friend, Jessica Miller.
My friend Jessica Miller, yeah. So Jessica, this one's for you.
Yeah, okay.
I love you. Chuck doesn't, but I love you.
I think you're okay.
So. Remake or Rembrandt. Here we go. Let's see. I think we've kind of hit on a remake already. If you wanted to make this more of a serious movie, a dramedy even, there's definitely potential to do that.
My answer's no.
Okay.
Thinking about like what this movie could be, like this movie's just been made over and over in a serious way and a way that's like, okay, it's an inner city school. Okay, it's... You know, it's a white teacher beating up people with a baseball bat. It's a black principal trying to get the violence out of his school. It's a white woman coming in to save the inner city by teaching them karate or whatever. I mean, I think it's kind of been done to death. So people have nostalgia for this movie and they dig it. Like, why mess with a good thing?
I don't want to see it remade either. I love it for what it is and the way it is. And I would really hate to be the two comedic actors that they hired to try to be Chainsaw and Dave.
Yeah, that's a losing battle. I think the way to make that interesting nowadays is to make them women, to make them girls that are into horror movies that deep. That now, if you start talking along those lines, that I get interested in that.
Okay.
To me, that is kind of a core that then you build out from. Say you put a comedian as Shoop, who maybe also has some chops to do a little bit of drama, or who hasn't really shown any chops for drama yet. Like, what if you, I don't know, I'm throwing out names just out of nowhere, but like, you know, you put like a Kevin Hart in there, somebody who hasn't really done drama, but maybe might have it in there somewhere.
He's in that movie with Bryan Cranston, The Upside, which is kind of a dramedy, and he's really good in it.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So
I think that's his first and only dramatic role that I'm aware of anyway.
Yeah, so maybe somebody like him.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing something like that. I mean, I think people have such an affinity for this movie. I didn't even realize a lot of people had nostalgia for this movie until you said something about talking about this movie. And then I found out how many people had nostalgia for this movie. I had no idea.
This is a big hit amongst the horror movie community.
Oh, because of David Chainsaw.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. When they announced that Dean Cameron was going to be at the Horror Hound Festival in Indianapolis that I went to, that online community blew up. They were super excited.
Yeah.
because of Summer School. Plus he's done some other horror adjacent type movies like Rockula and a couple other movies, but But this one specifically, they were very excited about.
I would have shown up in a ski bunny outfit and asked him to sign my chest.
Sign my boobies.
Dean on the left one and Cameron on the right one, please.
Yeah. I'm going to have tattooed.
Right, you get beer on my ass. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up summer school. Thank you for listening to us again this week. Next week we come back with a double feature, do we not?
I don't know. I don't know what we're doing next week.
Don't know? Okay.
We don't have to outro anything. We don't need to tell these people what we're doing next week. They don't give a shit.
12 of them do.
Only one of the 12 gives a shit. So we'll tell her privately on Messenger.
That's true. I'll be in touch, Andrea.
Yeah, we love you, Andrea. We love you too, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica.
Hobo killer.
Thank you for joining us at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show. We hope you enjoyed our feature this evening. You can follow us on social media at the All Night Drive-In Picture Show page on Facebook or at All Night Drive-In on Twitter and Instagram. If you have questions, comments, or movie requests, you can send them to our email address at allnightdriveinpictureshow@gmail.com. Join us next week for another fantastic feature, and until then, we appreciate your patronage. Don't forget to hang up your speaker, and please drive carefully on your way out.
The All Night Drive-In Picture Show is edited and produced by Markham Harvey. Our theme song is composed and performed by Lee Rosevere and edited by The Night Watch. Our head ticket taker is Stubbs Jorgensen. Our sign master is Jason Baldwin. Our snack bar manager is Lucy Slewfoot. Our drive-in manager is the one and only George Jaike. I'm your announcer, Lane Hewitt. I can eat my weight in pickles. This has been a Clown Business Coalition production. Good night, everyone.